Hey guys, I'm going to do a Python tutorial series. This is going to be the first episode in this series, showing you how to download Python, how to install it, and then going into data types and variables. So obviously the first thing that we're going to do if we're going to learn Python is we have to install it in our computers. So we're going to go into Python website, that is python.org/download right here. Just click on downloads, then download Python 3.96. So I'm not going to do that because I already have Python installed on my computer, but pretty much once you download it, you should get a pop-up right over here. And if you don't get the pop-up, just go into your download folder and run the exe. It's very simple and you'll be running Python in no time. Pause the video, go ahead and do that, and we can go on to the next step. Okay, so now that we have Python installed in our computers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just type IDLE Python. Okay, so this right here. Okay, this right here is not what you're going to write all our programs. It's the console kind of. So here I can type any line of code. For example, I want to print a name like Terry. Print a name like Terry. This should run right away. Okay, as you can see. So if you want to play around with the console, you can do that, but you're not doing that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, click on File, click on New File. A new document will open up. So first thing first is we're going to save the file. So I'm going to save it on my desktop, on my tutorial folders, and call this tutorial 1. Okay, and save it. Awesome. So now we are ready to learn a little bit about Python data types. So pretty much Python is a fairly basic language in comparison to a lot of other languages. A lot of things that it does is more simple than other languages, but it's very important to understand the basic data types. There are 4 main data types in Python, but there are a few more data types, but we're just going to learn about these 4 today. So the first one is integer. That can be short form for int. That can be short form for int. So basically what an integer is a whole number. This can be 1, 3, or 4. So all of those are defined as an integer. Any whole number is defined as an integer. Also a negative number, so a negative number like -5 is also defined as an integer. Okay. Now we have string. The short form for string is usually str. Pretty much a string is anything embedded in quotation. So for example, say Stephanie. This is a string, and then we also have something like this, Bob. This will be a string as well. And then if we have something like 1, this is also a string, although this is a number, this right here. Okay, although this is a number here, it's between 2 quotations, so we define it as a string. And also it's important to know that it doesn't matter if we use a single quote or a double quote to define a string. So for this case of Stephanie, defining it in a single quotation, single quote, that's a string, and Bob in double quotation, that's also defined as a string. Okay, now we also have another string. The third one is called boolean. So boolean data types are something like true and false. So true and false. So pretty much basic. So these are reserved words in Python. They're usually highlighted. You can't use them for defining a variable. Please remember that you can't use Boolean names to define a variable. And yes, they usually start with a capital letter, so we can define a Boolean. For example, if we say true like this, you can see it's not being highlighted because we haven't followed the rule that a Boolean should start with a capital letter. Okay. Then we have float. Okay, so float is basically any number with a decimal point is usually defined as a float. So for instance, 1.3 is defined as a float, and 5.6 is also defined as a float. So yeah, those are the 4 basic data types for now. And now that we know the basic data types, I'm going to show you how to create variables. You may have heard about variables before in maths. So in maths we tend to use x. X is a variable. So what we used to say was so x equals to 5. Okay, it's the same thing in Python. Now declaring a variable in Python is very easy. All you have to do is type the variable name. So let me just wrap this. So in our case, I'm going to use name as the variable, and you're going to give it a value. So in this case, you're going to give it the value term. Pretty much simple, right? So remember, this value, as you can remember, is a string. So the word Terry is a string. And now if I want to access the variable, I want to see what the variable is, I can print into the console. So how do we do that? So you just type in the word print and the variable name. So in our case, the variable name is name, and we're going to run the program and see what will happen. Okay, so just click on run, press OK, and you can see, so the variable Terry has changed. Okay, if we want to, let's say, change that variable name again to something else, so you can say name equal to Tom. Again, same thing. If we want to print it out onto the console, pretty much simple. Just type in the word print, call out the variable name. So for now, I'll just press F10 as the shortcut for running the program. F5, sorry, the shortcut for running the program. Let's just press it. Press F5 to run the program. As you can see, so Tom and Terry are displayed. So that are pretty much basic. Now you can create okay, now we can create a different variable data type. Okay, so we can create a different variable with a different data type. Okay, so for example, let's just wrap that. For example, we want to do a variable age. So for age, we will use an integer data type. So age is equals to 20. Then again, if we wanted to print it on the screen, I will say print age and then press F5 to run the program. Okay, so it's running. And oh, before I forget, please note that there are some few restrictions on variables name. As you can see here, we have used the 3 lower cases. Your variable names can contain underscore. They cannot contain dashes, and they can contain underscore text, and they cannot start with a number. So if we try do one, say, if we try do a variable and we name it one name, if equal to 30. We should probably get a syntax error because remember we cannot start a variable with a number. So if we try run it, as you can see we're getting an invalid syntax, but we can end it with a number. So if we remove this one and place it at the end so that our variable now becomes num1 equals to 30, press F5, voila, we don't have an error, invalid syntax error. Again, if you want to print it out on the console, we'll just write print, the name of the variable, in our case is num1, and then just press F5 to run the program. Okay, here we go. So let's say if we had the variable age like this, and say age is 15, then we had another variable, the same one, age 15. So the question will be, are these two variables the same? So no, they're not the same. Please note that capitals do matter in Python. The whole capital value, the time, the age, and the other age are totally different values. Okay, so if we had another age like this, so all lower cases, another 15, so all these three ages, well, all three value ages are totally different. They are not the same, so if we call out, we will call out a different age. Please keep note of that. Capital do matter in Python. Okay, I think we have covered a little bit on variables and data types today. On the next video, we'll go into some more advanced things. Hope you enjoyed the video today. Stay tuned, and we're going to have another one very soon. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. Thank you.